All right, so we are barreling towards war. It's not a fun time for the National Hockey League, and the Ottawa Senators are off the board now until 1992. They moved to St. Louis, became the St. Louis Eagles, and things didn't get better. So the Senators moved. The salary cap dropped to $62,500. New York Americans players complain that they're not getting paid. That's going to hurt your performance, isn't it? And because of the salary cap dropping, the Montreal Canadiens were forced to sell off Howie Morenz to the Chicago Blackhawks. Of course, Howie Morenz was the first huge superstar in NHL history, and Montreal losing him clearly affected them on the ice. The Toronto Maple Leafs were the number one team in the league, so they had the President's Trophy, which means they didn't win it. President's Trophy is not a thing yet. Doesn't exist. But if it did, it would have gone to Toronto. With a record of 30-14-4. Montreal Maroons are next at 24-19-5. Then the Montreal Canadiens at 19-23-6. New York Americans at 12-27-9. And the St. Louis Eagles at 11-31-6. The Boston Bruins lead the American Division at 26-16-6. Chicago Blackhawks are 26-17-5. The New York Rangers 22-20-6. There weren't three Montreal teams. And the Detroit Red Wings bringing up the rear in the American Division at 19-22-7. You'll notice that the last place Detroit team has a better record than Montreal, New York, and St. Louis. So at this point, it's pretty clear that the American Division is the stronger division of the two, although Toronto has the best record overall. In the playoffs, we have again the matchup between the first place teams in their divisions, with the winner going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Boston beats Toronto in Game 1 in double overtime, 1-0. Toronto then beats Boston 2-0. Then Toronto beats Boston 3-0, and then Toronto beats Boston again 2-1 in overtime to win the series in 5, meaning that Boston managed 1 goal in 3 games. In Series B and C, so these are total goal series, and the winners of these two series will face off against each other, and the winner of that series will then go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Got it? We got it. Chicago played the Maroons, scoreless tie in the first game, and the Maroons won the second game 1-0 in overtime. I think the term you're looking for that series is barn burner. So the Maroons win the series by a score of 1-0 because it's total goals. The New York Rangers beat Montreal 2-1 in Series C, Game 1, and then tied them in Game 2 4-4, meaning they win the total goal series 6-5. Series D, so this is the semifinals. The Maroons beat the Rangers 2-1 in Game 1, and they tied the Rangers 3-3 in Game 2, meaning they win the total goal series 5-4. In the Stanley Cup Finals, it is the Montreal Maroons and the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs, of course, having steamrolled Boston. The Maroons having to go through both Chicago and the New York Rangers to get here. The Maroons beat Toronto in overtime in Game 1, 3-2. They then win Game 2, also in Toronto, 3-1. And then the Maroons beat Toronto 4-1 in Montreal to claim a Stanley Cup with a sweep. So it's a weird season. We've got a team in St. Louis. It's not these guys, but hey, I figured, you know what, I've got an excuse to wear a St. Louis jersey. I'm going to go ahead and take it. It's not these guys, but the New York Americans are looking kind of sickly. They're not out for a while, though. So anybody expecting the New York Americans or the Montreal Maroons to be out, they got a little bit. And this is just a sign of how bad it's getting. Because remember, this is the Canadian division, and now you've got 2 American teams in it. So we're down to 3 Canadian teams. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 teams altogether. So six American teams, 3 Canadian. Because Batman's already moving teams to the States. I can't believe he's doing this before he was born. It's just so evil. Depending on which War of 1812 story you believe. Anyways, the Montreal Maroons are the Stanley Cup champions. I don't have a jersey of the Maroons, so this is what I got. Yeah, they had a sweater on lids last year when I'm like, why would I ever want Maroons? When am I ever going to talk about the Montreal Maroons? Yeah, well, here you are, Shannon. So it's one of those few times where a Stanley Cup gets won by a team that no longer exists. But the city of Montreal gets another Stanley Cup. So when you think about the Montreal Canadiens and their 24 Stanley Cups and how impressive that is, remember, the Montreal Maroons had a couple of their own. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I'll talk to you again soon.